All right, I want to talk a little bit about having a United States-wide universal basic income as part of a band-aid solution to the near-term problems of one, the virus, and two, social unrest. And I think doing it in this order will help a lot of things. So, one, we know that most police brutality comes from interaction with criminals, black or white. So if we can reduce crime, if we can reduce the need to have crime, then we're just gonna reduce those number of interactions percentage-wise and kind of just stop things where they are, which is super important right now. So to do that, we need to sort of eliminate the need for crime, which means eliminating most poverty. So we can do that through a sort of weekly payment to people, and the Senate and people are talking about this, but I think this experiment would be so incredible for us to do right now. So maybe it's $600 a month for everybody, a week for everybody, or maybe it's $1,200 a month for everybody. And what I see in my clients, what I see in people that I talk to, is when you have psychological safety, it frees up so much more presence for discussion, for looking at your own identity, for understanding your beliefs and patterns and habits and how we can change. Because ultimately, right, big changes need to happen, but they can't happen. We have so much ingrained stuff within us and within our culture and all these things. We need time to steer the ship. Obama calls this, steering an aircraft carrier, right? There's a lot of pieces here that we have to shift, and we can point it, 1 degree at a time. We turn slowly here because there's so much momentum in any direction. But if we did a 1-year experiment where we gave everybody in America a basic standard of living income, what would happen was, I predict that we would get a huge return on investment. So what I predict would happen was that once we create that psychological safety, especially for the poorest people, is that we would experience a huge drop in crime, especially petty crime and crime by poor people. That leads to interaction with police, that leads to brutality. So we can sort of stop that, nip it in the bud by doing this experiment, a 1-year universal basic income experiment. What I think would also happen is that once people sort of paid off their debts and made sure they knew that they were going to get food, maybe in the first couple of months, is that people would start becoming more entrepreneurial. And most people are not doing work that they want to be doing. And so when we create that psychological safety, when they know at least for the year they're going to be paid some minimum amount and they'll be able to survive for a year, they can start being solution-oriented. They can start being creative. They can slow down from working 12 hours a day, 3 jobs. They can figure out, one, what their role is in all this racial divides, political divides, understand where they stand, give some people some space and time to understand that. But more importantly, for the economy, give them understanding of, doing what they want to do, because people have a lot of energy when they find the right work for them, when they find the right project, when they're super stoked on something, they can generate a huge amount of opportunity, of profits. And ultimately, what I believe would happen is if we invested this, let's say it's $2 trillion in universal basic income, or $10 trillion, I don't even know. But there's a guy who can crank out the money with his money printer. Let's just say we put $10 trillion into the economy with this universal basic income. What I predict would happen is that we would see by the end of the year a 10x return on our investment by increased GDP in the economy, because people would be doing work that they really want to be doing. I would predict a flourishing of new businesses, and to go along with that, I would predict all this sort of stuff that we have to clean up because of poverty. Like in my city, more than a quarter of the people are below the poverty line. So there's just like cleaning up their trash in vacant lots. There's there's just healthcare for homeless people. There's all of these things that as you reduce poverty, like you have to spend less sort of like cleaning up this messiness because of poverty. So there's so many good things that can come of it. And if we call it an experiment and it doesn't work, then at least we know, at least we've done our best thing. And, I think our hand is sort of being forced here, right? We have a struggling economy because of COVID. Within a year, we don't know if it's going to be back to normal. And then on top of that, right, we have this social and racial unrest that's making things worse. So regardless of how long it takes or how quickly like we can change racism and all of these things, I think we can sort of nip the main culprit in the bud, which is poverty and crime, by a universal basic income. So that's what I'm really hoping comes right now from Congress. And honestly, if they did that, I think if the Republicans in the Senate and the president were able to pass that, were able to get that through, I think probably the Democrats would be on board. I think they would be reelected. I think that would make a huge difference for so many people that they would be able to stay in office. Otherwise, I think we're going to see a total shift of who's making the rules and laws right now. So I'm really looking forward to see if that would happen. I think it would be so amazing, and it can be an experiment. Like if it works, right, then we know we can implement it in other places in the world, because the U.S. isn't the only place where there's poverty and racism. So this is really important because it doesn't take much to change the outlook of somebody who's in poverty, like a few $1,000. But it doesn't make, it's not a huge, it doesn't make a difference to someone who's already got way more money than that. So what we really want to do is we want to look at the most bang for our buck and really stimulate the poorest, parts of our economy. And this is also going to help bring things back from the pandemic as we reopen. I think having more money in is, we know that it circulates through the economy. So I think this is ultimately the very best thing we'd be doing right now for both the race-related stuff and the COVID-related challenges that we're facing. And I hope we don't get another big whammy challenge. I don't know, but that's what I see being the most, having the most potential for us right now as a country in terms of making things change quickly, so that we also have time to change our identities and our thought processes and in our interactions and all of these things. That, of course, there's no easy answers and will take time. So we need to buy ourselves time with money right now. All right. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you have any thoughts or more well-educated than I am about how universal basic income might work, or if you've thought about the idea more than I have, or if you totally disagree, if you think this is not what's needed. Would love to hear that too. All right. Have a great day. Be safe.